Anyone? Okay, we're good. All right, welcome everybody to the January 23rd Parks and Recreation meeting. I need to, everybody's received a copy of the minutes of December. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'm
Kara was first, second. Jim Simmons, second. Okay, a motion to approve, all in favor, say aye. Okay, motion passes for December minutes. Okay, we're gonna move into, our January meeting that we had to reschedule last week's debacle. So anyways, first of all, we're gonna go around and get some welcome, and we have some guests here, so we'll need an introduction.
I'm Karen Linke and I'm totally visitor with plants.
Karen.
Hi, I'm David Flinke, member of the Kiwanis and the Garden Club.
I'm Diana Marksberger. I'm a member of the Garden Club, and it happens that I was in Parks and Rec for 35 years with the city.
And you lived through it. Well, lots of city council meetings.
And for these folks back here, I think we'll go around, starting maybe with Jim, and introduce ourselves. So
Hi.
you, David, City Council.
Kara Hawkins, Clerk. Lisa Rawls, Secretary.
Barry Johnson, Chairman.
Jerry Nelson, Candy Public Works Director.
Jamie Stickle, I'm the Director of Economic Development and Communication Specialist for the city.
David Biscar, Parks Board.
Barbara Carmel, member of this board.
Jim Simmons, member. Ryan Oliver, Parks Board member.
There we go. Oh, there's Ryan Potter. Can you hear us, Ryan?
Ryan Potter, Planning Manager.
Can you hear us all right, Ryan?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so we move into our monthly, well, no, we're not either. We're gonna start out with a presentation by David Clanky in regards to a native plant sanctuary restoration that he was in charge of at Community Park. So,
Do you want to sit up here and that be easier? This will bring it up. Make sure I get the right one. Are you getting the garden?
Andrew Beck.
Go on.
And this is Andrew Dale, and he's with Cabot, Candy Area Parks and Recreation District. Maybe.
I'm not really sure which one you guys are gonna wanna look at. There's like 3 different versions of this. Well, thank you for allowing me to come chat with you guys about some work we've been doing at Canby Community Park. My wife Karen and I are relatively new to town, a little bit over a year, and we were touring different parks. We moved here from West Lynn, where we were very active in parks. And so we wanted to see what Canby had to offer. We got down to Canby Community Park and we were wandering around and we came across a sign that's a native plant sanctuary. And let me show you what we found. That's the sign. It's a little bit of PR here about why we care about parks. But let me show you first what's going on. So this is what we found. Now this little enclosed area is 60 feet by 100 feet. So it's not real big. But boy, they had the market on blackberries. What you are looking at, if you're standing at the gate right now, that's at the gate. It's just a wall of blackberries. And I'm going, native plants? Like where? Turns out we did find a few, but we found a lot of blackberries. So, like I mentioned, I was very involved in West Lynn's park restoration efforts, and this is an Eagle Scout candidate from a few years back. And the question is really, in my mind, is this really the message we want to send our youth? That this is how we take care of our parks? Oh, we lost control.
Sorry, I was trying to do the right thing, but there we go.
So, I've been doing this for 10 years and my response was, it can't be. And so, I thought maybe, Canby, small town, maybe they'll allow me to do something. So I sent a message to Jeff Snyder, and found out that he'd already been contacted by Tammy. And he wanted to have us link up. At first I thought Tammy was an employee with the city. Turns out she owns a nursery out of town, and she saw the same thing, wanted to do something about it. So he linked us together and said, you guys go figure it out. And I called Tammy and I said, do you really want to do anything in there before we pull the blackberries out? She said, no, if you want to pull them out, go ahead. So my friend Bill, who's one of the Pitchfork, that it's kind of strange. I mean, you think about it, it's like that drawing some.
American Gothic.
Yeah, didn't think about that, but yeah, that's Bill and Gina. So Bill joined me on March 21st. Gina came a month or so later. And the three of us spent quite a bit of time pulling out the blackberries and all. In the meantime, figured this is going to take more than just a couple of us, and pulling out the blackberries, that's going to be the easy part. We want to make this a sustainable garden and a usable garden for the community. So I went to the Kiwanis Club, and you can see they signed me up and I signed them up. And so they agreed to sponsor our work. And what a great group. Karen and I were in the JCs when we were young, and it reminds me of my days in the JCs. They just do so much. But they agreed to sponsor it. And to date, we put in 215 hours in the sanctuary. And there's some work in progress. You can see the blackberries being pushed back. You can see actually the fence from the back of the garden. That's this here. You can see how we piled up the blackberries and dragged them out. Jeff and Ken are just amazing guys to work with. Anything we needed, they were all over it. If they couldn't do it, they were all honest with us and told us they couldn't do it. You'll see a slide a little bit later on chips. We cleaned the city out on chips. They still have to wait a little bit longer to get some more. But they made a bin available to us. They gave us a key so we could store our materials in the shed that's there. Just wonderful guys. The Kiwanis, they jumped in and sent some of their members over to help, and you see some of their folks here. They didn't really get engaged with the blackberries. Once we pulled the blackberries out, all the other invasives started popping up, and they were instrumental in helping us push those down. Okay, so here you've got a couple photos of the chipping. So you can see the piles of chips, and then the smaller one you can see they're being spread out. Unfortunately, like I said, we cleaned the city out, so we're only able to do about 75% of the garden. It's a lot of chips.
Yeah, is it kind of an after the blackberries are gone?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
in stages, this is,
Yeah, so we just ripped out all the blackberries, and we went after the little guys, nibblewort and the walnuts, and all those guys start popping up. And then we chipped. That little birdhouse, we found many things. That birdhouse is one, there's another birdhouse. And then some little metal frogs that were on rocks in the garden. Unfortunately, they were underneath an osoberry tree, so nobody's gonna see them unless they're pulling weeds. So we're gonna have to fix that. We did find some natives. There they are. Bleeding heart, dog rose, fringe cup, nuka rose, oceanberry, Oregon ash, Oregon crabapple. Do you see the crabapple? Nine bark, dogwood, spirea, and snowberry. I think it was really interesting to me, having done this for 10 years. Oregon grape is a great plant. You can't kill the bloody thing. There wasn't an Oregon grape in the garden. Now on the outside perimeter, there were. So we did have some. So kind of neat. So not to slow ourselves down, those blackberries were coming in over the back fence, so we went after them. And so on the left-hand picture, you can see the blackberries and how they are sloping down towards the pond. And then the big picture on the right, that's taken a shot of the 100-foot length of the fence. You can see all the blackberries are gone. So all the bushes you see there are natives. Mostly things like spirea, dogwood, things that like water. Because on the left, that's the pond. And it has its own challenge.
Isn't that a holly? Is holly native?
Holly is not.
Yeah, we have a lot of holly.
No, that, what you saw there was Gordon grape.
Oh, was it?
Oh, do you
Okay.
want to, guys want to do a test?
No.
Okay. See, the garden club and the Kiwanis, they had to get tested, so at the end of the presentation, not, you guys get a special presentation, because I think you know stuff. But on theirs, I would put up a weed and a not a weed, and they had to tell me which one was the weed and then what they were. Let me tell you, the Kiwanis, we failed miserably, but the garden club, they were good, those guys knew what they're doing. Okay, so here you can see, these are better pictures to show you what it looks like after the chips are laid down. The little green you see on the chips, that's the little nipple warts trying to pop up. This is before all the leaves fell, so if you went out there today, you're not gonna see those because they're under the leaves. Thank goodness. Now, the Kiwanis, one of their offers was to fund the purchase of the plants. And we're gonna get to that story in a minute. And then we had some donations, some from a local nursery out of Forest Grove, and then the Canby Garden Club donated. So we're gonna be getting to that. Because once we pull all these things out, it's like, okay, now what are we gonna do, right? So we want to put some more natives in. So the garden club donated a whole bunch of sluice sedges. And you can see in the left-hand picture, those have been planted behind the garden, going down to the pond. And the ones in the planter box there, those are ones waiting to be planted. And they'll be planted at planting coming up. I have to say, Canby is the hardest town to do a planting, and between the park closure and the weather, we postponed our planting twice. We're going up for our third time to bat on February 10th. And if it don't work, then I'm gonna go and plant them myself. Heck with the weather. So Everdee, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, donated 160 plants. 50 of them are being given to the Canby High School Ecology Club, and they're gonna plant them in the high school. 40 of them went to Marius Young Park's pollinator garden, and we get the rest for ours. And there's a big thank you to the West Lynn Garden Club for coordinating that activity. The other thing that the West Lynn did, because I worked very closely with them for last 10 years, is they had some special deal with the nursery for better pricing. And we ordered 1,000 plants for Marius Young's planting. So I said, you know, we throw a couple in on the end, get us your wholesale pricing, and they did. And they can't, when the plants actually arrived, the pricing was actually even lower than they had originally told us. And in fact, it was so low that Jeff picked up the cost. So the bill never went to the Kiwanis Club. Yeah, so the Kiwanis Club was happy because that means they can then spend the money on some other things they're going to show you later on. All right, so we did get the plants. These are the ones that are now in the garden. You can see they're being positioned. So they're underneath the snow. By now, maybe it's melted. So I'd say about 100 of them are already pre-positioned. We did that on Friday. On Saturday, we were going to do the planting, and that's when the ice storm hit and we had to cancel.
When you just finish, what part of the public will or won't be allowed in that area?
There's nothing to keep anyone out. They can all go in. And then that is what we hope happens down the road. We would like people to go in and learn about native plants and why it's important. And then that's what I'm going to talk about. That's the hard part. The easy part is what we pretty much now are finishing. Okay, so you can see here the native plants we found. These are new native plants we're putting in. So we're gonna have a lot. All right, so where are we? Well, today the blackberry bushes are gone.
Roots and all. Roots and all.
Oh yeah, that's right. No herbicides. We dug them out because Bill and I are really tough. And then other invasive plants have been removed, but they're gonna keep popping up. We're gonna have to keep going after them. And that's where like the Kiwanis and our relationships all come in. The native plants are purchased and the planting has been scheduled for the third time. This time on February 10th, and I invite you all to come down for that because it's gonna be an all-day event at the park. In the morning between 9 and 12 will be the planting, and then I have the Clackamas County Juvenile Department coming in the afternoon, and they're gonna be doing blackberry removal. They don't get to do the good stuff. The blackberry bushes behind the back fence are gone. Sluice sedges have been planted behind the back fence. We're gonna add some more to it, the ones that you saw on the planter box. And we've got a Boy Scout from our local troop, the 8th Frame, and he's working with Jeff and Ken to restore 100 yards of the trail, which, by the way, I didn't know there was a trail, but there is a trail in the park, and it's a beautiful walk if the trail was repaired. So he's gonna work on repairing that. All right, so now the hard part. And by the way, I didn't get this from Hollywood. These are actual Clackamas County children volunteering with their parents in our local parks. And what we'd like to do is turn the sanctuary into an educational opportunity for kids. While I was down there pulling blackberries, I saw high school students coming down from the high school and touring around the river and doing environmental things. Well, wow, here we go. Our sanctuary could be used for that. But it can also be used for these youngsters. But until we have something to share with them, it's really not much of an opportunity. These guys are actually fairly young, but
No,
got started young.
what is the plan now, once you have restored all of this and made it nice and pretty? Who is going to maintain that? Is that up to the Parks and Rec department? Or are you guys gonna, are you guys gonna
That's a good
volunteer,
question.
are you gonna take that on?
So my commitment to Jeff was that I would not create work for him. So this is not a create work for the Parks Department, right? So that was one of the reasons that I wanted a sponsor like the Kiwanis Club. I want someone who's got a history of being around and plans to continue being around to kind of own taking care of this sanctuary. And they signed up for that. Now, since then, I've been working with the Garden Club and the others here from the Garden Club. And they have been exceptional and engaging as well. And they actually know stuff about plants, unlike us in the Kiwanis, we don't. They do. So we can get the
Well, they
education.
passed your test.
They did.
Yeah.
They actually got the hard ones. They were amazing. But anyway, so what we gotta do is monthly weeding and mulching. Okay, easy stuff now that the blackberries are gone. Our winter planting on the 10th. And now the really hard stuff that's exciting to me, and I'm not an educator, okay? I worked for Hewlett Packard for 30 years in engineering. Is an education program. We want to use this to make it available to our schools and other groups who have children so they can learn. And this is where we can spend some of our money. It's play signs identifying the native plant. And so if you're interested in seeing what that might look like, go to Westland's Pollinator Garden. It's at Mary S. Young Park, off the main parking lot. It's beautiful, and you can see it now. The only difference will be their garden, they don't let anybody in. Ours will let people in. Okay, and there'll be little signs telling you what these plants are. And hopefully down the road, we'll even have material to go with that to educate people on why those plants are important. So I haven't been there, but I've heard that the Gladstone Pollinator Garden is a good example of how that's done. Yeah, we can learn from others who are ahead of us in this game.
How durable will it be for, suppose the first grade teacher wants to take 20 little kids and, you know, how do we not destroy the beauty of what you're doing by having overused by groups?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that, other than to hope that the teachers control their kids. It can't be any worse than it is now. And, you know,
Well,
we could put roses in, that'll keep them off. In fact, we actually are doing that in some other parts.
I would suggest that some signage that allocate, that makes it clear to everybody that comes in, this is a special area, so at least there'll be.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea. Good idea. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not an educator, so we're gonna need this kind of feedback. And then, you know, one of the things I wanted to ask you all is what role you would like to play in this. And I would hope that this would be something that you would be interested in. But then encourage the schools. I've been talking to the ecology advisor for the County High School Ecology Club, and she's very interested and she sees the benefit as well. So I'm hoping she'll help me make contacts and stuff. And the Garden Club has got some contacts with the agricultural program at the high school. So we're starting to network. Because what I've learned in this game is you don't go it alone. If you go it alone, you don't succeed. You network, you create communities of people going after spots. And then things happen. Pulling the weeds is not a hard part. That's not the hard part. The hard part is now in front of us. And then I'm hoping that, we can get up enough enthusiasm to go after more of the blackberry bushes in the park. I mean, you'd think you're in a blackberry farm. I mean, I don't know how often you guys are all down there, but, there's a lot of blackberry bushes. And,
We know who rules the roost in this state, blackberries.
They do. My last slide, I just want to give a pitch for the kind of environmental things we're doing in the Kiwanis Club. Of course, there's the native plant sanctuary. They've signed up to be the continuing force to keep it maintained. We want to participate in the eco park restoration work we have in the past, and I think Kara has led those activities, and we want to continue to be involved. We have talked an Eagle Scout into, get this, this just blew me away. So we have an A-frame that the Kiwanis sponsor, a Boy Scout troop in the park, and they go as far as Woodland to do Eagle Scout projects. It's like, what in the heck? If you guys open your eyes and look around, you're in the middle of a park, and so they have, now they've realized, hey, we're in the middle of a park that we can support. And so they were the first group to sign up to come on February 10th. They found they solved signups before anybody else. So they have gotten the message. This is our park. We're gonna take care of it. So they're gonna, and those pictures on the bottom, those are photos of the trail in its current state. Actually, those are probably the better parts of the trail. And the gentleman on the left, that's the Eagle Scout candidate who's pulling this all together. And he has to get it done by May, because he turns 18, so we know it's gonna get done to him. And then we have, I'm just communicating with the librarian today, so we'll be doing a 2024 Earth Day project again this year. Yeah, we just have to settle on the date. I wanted to be on the 20th, he was suggesting the 22nd. We're gonna negotiate.
Yeah.
So any questions? Any feedback?
I want to add one thing to what David's saying, and I'll say it quickly. Garden Club is interested in doing an Arbor Day project, and we know we're going to be facilitating some ordinance writing for that. In Portland, they don't do it on Arbor Day, they celebrate Arbor Day in the fall, because when you plant trees in the fall, they actually live. So that's one thing, and then I would be interested in working with whoever is going to do that ordinance about writing an ordinance for donating park benches, which through the Portland Park Bureau, they cost a lot because they make you donate enough to maintain the benches for 10 years. So if you want to donate a bench, come with enough money to buy it and maintain it for 10 years. So it is a possibility of adding some viewing points to our park in a natural sort of way without it costing anything to your budget. So that's where we're coming from, and I'm done.
It's funny that you mentioned that because on our agenda, we're gonna talk about the tree bench programs.
Okay.
You'll hear a little more. I just want to, put in a plug, I guess, for David, because one of our board members, Terry Jones, came from Westland. She was very familiar with David and the work that he did over at Westland. And she talked very highly of David and said that we want to utilize him as much as we can because he gets a lot done and makes it look good. So it's a good program, a good step. And I guess I would, encourage anybody that's around on February 10th from our board to go down there and help them out.
Or we get to see what we're doing.
Or to see what they're doing.
And by then, the restrooms ought to be operational. Right?
I was gonna bring that up. We're waiting on power and permitting, they're in. But we might be another month, but I'd like to work with you on this and get it opened up for your day.
Oh, that would be
Maybe
awesome.
I don't know, there's a porta potty down there, maybe we could work something out where we could see you get your work done. So let's talk about that when we get closer. I'm hoping it goes faster than we think, but I was gonna.
Who's holding that up to? Is that Cub also?
We're waiting, Cam Utility was behind in the ice storm, and so we're waiting for them to get down there and get power to so we can run the sewer pumps up the hill, and that's what we're. But
Yeah, none of this would be possible were it not for the parks folks. Jeff and Ken, they just been wonderful to work with. And, you know, I've sent them messages and I've gotten replies within minutes on key issues. And you wouldn't think there would be any, something like this, I was just pulling weeds. But they were all over this stuff. We're very,
Well, you've got a good advocate.
well, I know, I've seen the Facebook posts.
Oh, yeah, President, now,
Yes, thank you very much.
Parks. Oh, that came.
So I'll talk about that when we get closer and see. Shouldn't be a problem, we should be able. Should be able.
Well, we can make a porta potty work. It just would be nice to have.
Exactly.
All right, any other questions for David, before we move on?
You stand for the.
I wanted to hear Kara's update on the benches.
Did you need to look at anything?
Right.
You wanna just.
We'll just skip on, but. So. All right, we're gonna adjust our schedule just a little bit. Kara's gonna talk about the tree finish program.
Well, so I had gone to the Westland and got all of their information about the program, and then we had talked about, you know, I mean, their program is super comprehensive. I mean, I couldn't think of anything they hadn't thought of, and so when I talked to Barry and Lisa about it, and you know, Barry just encouraged me to pull out what worked for us and rework it if it needed it and not worry about it if it didn't. And so that's what I really tried to do. And so I wrote up, and everybody should have received it.
I think I mailed everybody
Yeah.
a copy of what Kara came.
And so this is a first draft. And like I said, it's, you know, a lot of it came from Westland's program, but tailored to what we need here. And it's all in pencil, so anything that we want to change, we can change, and but I think it's a good starting place. And then I also created the actual form that people would fill out if they wanted to make the donation, and that whole process is outlined. And the one thing that I don't have is Ken did some research and gave me some information about their products and what they can get and what he recommended. And I think we should do, I think we did a bench without a back, a bench with a back, a picnic table that is like a square one, so it has a post in the center with even sides on each, and then a rectangular one. So I think we just need to simplify it and just keep it to those 4 options. I think that covers all of our bases. One question that I had for Ken was, it looks like, well, Ken, in the stuff that he gave me, it sounded like he thought that we should have the donors contact, what is it, the city of or the, you know, that trophy shop in Canby to have the little plaque made. But Westland does the plaques, and then the company that Ken said we wanted to order our tables and benches from, you can actually order the plaques through them. And so you know, there's some options on the table about how we want to do that, how that's best facilitated. I wanted direction before I head off, and get any, you know, any detail from like the maybe cookie place or whatever.
I think we wanna, we wanna keep it as simple and as,
It's agreed.
and as consistent as we
Yeah,
can.
for sure.
We don't, we as a board aren't gonna make those decisions. That's gonna come from council.
Right,
And when your policy goes into place, that's gonna be the Bible, but we wanna come up with all the options before we send it to council.
right.
So we've got still some more work to do, but you've done
Right.
a good portion.
I mean, if we just decide which one of those three options we wanna do, I 100% agree they should always come from that, until they can't anymore, for whatever reason.
Right, there was one part on the, let's see,
I mean, let people come up with their own thoughts, such a disaster.
No, we've never suggested that.
on the second page of this, there were some. I think the memorial trees, the size wise, I think, inch and three quarter to two. But cost for the trees. Between,
That's based on what Ken gave me.
yeah, and we know it's gonna be at the prevailing cost. Considering inflation, because it might
Yeah.
not be 350 and 400 2 years from now, it might be. more than
Right.
That, so
So maybe it needs to be worded that way.
we're gonna need to, I think we need to word it where it's at the prevailing wage of
Yeah.
the time.
See, this is what Ken gave me, so, but I think that's really a good idea.
In all of these things, all of the examples, it's in the bench. Where we list prices or whatever, it should be at just prevailing wage for the time.
Right, although, if these are, it's just like anything else, if you have a menu, you put your prices on your menu, when the price has to change, you just change it on the menu, and I think, that, having a solid price gives people the idea about what they're in for.
Well, it gives them an idea, but
Yeah.
as a
There should be
side
some
note,
wording,
yeah. as a side note,
Could be subject to change, you're,
Right.
yeah, 100%, that's exactly what it should say.
anybody else have anything for Carol around this topic?
So, quick question, we'll be running this through the city then? So we'll just be updating we'll put this in our master fee schedule. And then we'll update it once a year.
So if the interest or the inflation didn't affect the cost of the trees
Right,
at first, but did after 5 years or 10 years, then that would be something that the city staff would be able to bring forward for the master fee schedule. And it wouldn't necessarily need to have that language because all of those fees are reviewed and updated at that.
oh,
Okay, so
Right.
we'll take that out. Okay.
Kind of just like. For tree program stuff, that's what I'm just making sure. The
Yeah.
plaques. That'll be separate. That's what I was trying,
Whatever we decide, what do you should do?
like,
I kind of like the idea of going through the company that does the benches and stuff, just because I think they're designed to do exactly that, and that's what they're for, and so. I mean, that makes sense to me. They may be more expensive, but I feel like they would be designed as well as.
Well, and
would be.
don't we think we want the verbiage to be, kind of. A common verbiage, I mean, you don't want anybody to really deal with their own memorial, I mean, it could get wordy, I mean, but it's
Limited to.
limited to name.
Well, I should have printed.
We
that.
should have examples, but
The website where you get the benches, could you even pull it up, Jerry?
maybe, where are we?
It's, I think it's this, do more, so Northwest Playground Equipment. Is that right, or is that? Sales at Do More. I think it's domore.com, DUMOR.com.
Not Northwest?
No.
Okay,
I think that's who our supplier is, but ultimately
say
the
that again,
DUMOR.com,
see it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Site furnishings, yeah, just click on that, and then I think it has the,
Scroll down or sideways?
products,
I don't think we want
no,
You don't want
products.
benches?
that.
So there's some of the options, and I just don't think that we need to get all crazy. I think we, and that's what Ken and I had talked about. We pick out one And then these are your options,
Well, I think what,
but
you know, in that. Trying to conserve time, I mean, there's a lot of bench choices there, but maybe we could send this out to the board members.
well, these bottom ones were the ones that Ken and I were looking at, so I think,
Let's take a look.
the one that was the 56. I think is right there, that's one of the ones. And then the flat one,
Well,
Yeah.
let's identify those, the ones that Ken recommended.
yeah, I wrote it down,
And send them out to the board,
okay.
and then
Dave,
let us come back.
So the
With
bench,
our
139 or 34, and these are based on what Ken gave me and then what I reviewed.
That's fine.
Yeah, 134, there's the bench. The one with no back is 34.
Well, let's,
Oh no, that's 139. Oh, but yeah, what we were looking up here on anyway was to look for the badge, the little plate.
well, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Find the plate, put it out on a document, send it to the board, and let us look at it instead of in this setting, because we
Yeah.
have more to cover.
Oh, sure, yeah, no,
So whatever Ken gave you, isolate them, see if he can isolate them, see if he can. You know, put a document together to send to the board so that we can look at it, even if it's this, just give us the number and we can look at it.
yeah, I have it. I have it written down.
We'll come back at our meeting next month and then we'll make our selections.
Who is responsible for the placement of specific benches?
Parks Department.
And do we have any estimates or any understanding of how much of the final staff time are gonna be needed for this program to be properly managed and succeed?
No.
The benches aren't a big issue for us.
Okay.
They're kind of, this is kind of a really good thing for us. The trees turns in
That's what I
to,
guess.
it was pretty easy with trees when we had supply. But now that everything took off, all the trees got, you probably, it's better than anyone, but. We struggle finding the right trees and everything else, so it does take staff time when you don't have the right trees and you're trying to figure out, find replacements, coordinate back and forth. And then, but the plaque I see being a little bit, we need to work on that, but I think Kara's got the hard work done on this. I mean, I think we can get in that and put that into the master fee schedule like Kenny was talking about, Barbara. And then, you know, it's just starting to pay for it. And I don't think people will mind it.
Yeah, currently I was alerted, this is the City of Canby Tree and Bench Program, and it's talking about some of the information that Kara pulled up.
Yeah.
But in this description of the program,
You know,
there are
like this.
11 specific responsibilities assigned to the Parks Department, Memorials, the Parks Department, Department Director, the head of the parks. There are lots and lots of staff people involved here, and it looks like we're trying to be doing this sort of on Ken's back and without any, sadly, we don't have the kind of funding in this community for us to have dedicated park directors, and we are not likely to have it in the future, more of the bidding. That's our reality, and I think it always bears keeping an eye on how much responsibility we're putting on our hardworking staff, who after all have day jobs in addition.
Right, well, Kara's done, you know, preliminary groundwork to set up their policy.
Well, the difference between planning and overseeing, maintaining.
I understand, but this isn't going into effect now, it'll come back and we'll talk about it all.
There's basically zero maintenance on these benches. I put two into the pool 25, 30 years ago. And they look perfectly new. They're in perfect shape.
By the right ones, last.
These I got them from the Oregon Department of Corrections. They have this, go down there. Yeah. Weather really well. And the plastic wood, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Barbara.
It's installation, it's maintenance of the grounds around them, it's placement of the ground, it's defining what's beautiful, what's not beautiful in terms of placement and in terms of usefulness to for the public, and whether it interferes with kids trying to run, all of those questions come into play.
Absolutely. Well, and we're in.
We don't
today's
have
day and
a
age.
park director,
No,
darn it.
you know, we're
There he
We're
is.
authorized for another maintenance person and 1.5 people, and we're not gonna be able to fill that position.
And there's not need for other things, those are dedicated to our special projects.
No, they're not dedicated, they're dedicated to the parks, park.
Where I see this, I don't know, we talked about it last time, like Auburn Farms Park. We developed, this could be an, if we had this set up, people could.
Yeah.
Buy, we would decide kind of where the trees are going, but they could buy a tree
Right.
that's in the design and put it in and have a plaque by it or something.
Right.
Or benches that we
Yeah.
use, which would be, save us money, Barbara, and
Right,
In Clackamas County up by well, I used to work in the juvenile department. And they planted just a little forest of trees. I mean, they're small, they were small when they first planted them. But every single one of them has a little memorial plaque, on a stake right next to the tree. And there have to be 50 trees there. And so they did the entire park with these memorial trees. Which I think is really cool. It gives people a connection to the place that's impactful for them, for their families, for, all of that stuff. There's no reason we couldn't do that.
have you seen that list Ken gave you?
Uh-huh.
Have you walked our tree? Our tree display is on Sequoia and has a plaque by each one.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I
So
didn't.
there's some of the plaques that came up that we did a long time ago, but we did it so homeowners could go look at the
Uh-huh.
tree and plant it in front of their
Oh,
house.
that's great.
So they're numbered and you can go,
Uh-huh.
and it's all the way down Sequoia Parkway, in front of Arneson Park and around the corner. So if you get a chance, walk it.
Yeah.
okay. Anybody else, anything else?
So when we get the benches, like when you get narrowed down with the benches, maybe the price on the plaques, like whether it's the one from Canby or these people, just so
Yeah.
it's just make sure that they're.
Yeah.
And then we can.
Look at ours, Kara, if you go out by Wilco in front, you can see if you like those plaques, because we got them down at the trophy shop.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
but take, Jim, get a chance to look at those two and see what you think. But they were pretty easy and they just shove in the ground.
yeah.
How long have those been there? Damn. Since 2012, they're in good shape.
And
I mean,
and
those-
the ones you're talking about at Sequoia?
Sequoia Parkway
Okay.
in front of Wilco, all the way goes both sides, the tree list, yeah. And people have taken a few, but they held up great.
Yeah, they're legible.
Okay.
Inside the park.
No, it's along the street.
Yeah.
It's a tree display.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have noticed that. I did notice that.
Yeah, so it's pretty, and it follows that, so you can look at the number and,
Yeah, neat.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it was a lot of work, we planned all them in the house and did all that thing, and just because we had so many questions, because our street trees were going away, we weren't getting them, and, and it's made a lot of work, and this sometimes makes work for the city, but it does make the city nice, because our street tree program's better.
right.
Great, I could talk about trees all.
I know, we're doing that. How about if we move on?
Barry, when do you want to have this in front of council? So we said, well,
Well, I think it's gonna take, we'll meet again, it'll be. Our next meeting's on the 20th. It'll be after that.
Like, if we could have it, Jim,
How about if we go Mark?
like sometime before we adopt the budget. Because we couldn't activate this, so it's the
Correct.
master fee schedule's adopted, so sometime before July,
The master fee schedule is adopted in June.
so.
And another thing to kind of keep in mind, but once the language about the plaques has been decided, we'll want to run that past the city attorney, just so that, to make sure, sometimes when trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing and we don't want profanity or whatever, that actually has implications on freedom of speech. And so he and I just met about something. I'll kind of right on course with that, and he's super, super knowledgeable and helpful, and he's very quick and easy to work with, so.
So we've got until what, July? Did you say?
June.
To do it?
So I would say mid-May.
Mid-May.
You're
So,
But my
Hopefully we
birthday's
can-
in March, and it would be a great birthday present for me. to
Well,
get it done.
we're gonna put you on the February 20th,
Okay,
our park
Okay,
meeting.
and I'm
and
gonna-
Hopefully you can get with Ken, and get all these other details.
With them to send it on to the city administrator, and then of course it goes on to the city attorney. And
Right.
we shoot for April 1st or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just after Karen, right?
yeah,
Before I go on that trip.
One more.
No.
Is this a presentation that we're bringing to city council or adopting a resolution?
Sending the program to the city administrator and let her run through its course, and then she can schedule for city council.
Okay.
okay, so that's how we do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Now it's you.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
So update on
Community. Park.
community park, was down there today, talking to the contractor, they got. Bathrooms turned out great, I love the elevation where they put all that stuff, we're waiting on power, can't usually, like I said before, got behind on with the ice storm, so. They're gonna try to get power down there in 2 weeks, and then we can start. We gotta get the conduit in before we can start pouring concrete back, so that's what we're doing. But one of the linemen showed up down there today, so I'm hoping maybe, because I talked to supervisor about things, so they're saying a month with permits and everything.
so I got a post on the Friends of Candy Park asking when community park's gonna be back open.
1 month,
1 month.
if everything goes. So, sorry about that, but it is a good time of year, I guess, to have it, and we'll work with you guys.
Is there,
Any more questions?
is there anything that, I mean, Jim's gonna, when's your meeting? Your February 7th or whatever?
For what?
Council.
City council,
Yeah, first one came.
So, I mean, do you have, I mean, we know that we're waiting at cut.
Yeah, I'll just,
Okay,
we just give a project, that's it.
yeah,
okay, yeah, and I'll let you guys know if they get there sooner, if they get caught up and get there sooner, they just got a lot of stuff because of relocating on 99E, South Ivy, and all the projects going on, they're spread thin.
Okay.
Auburn, Dodge, engineering got the go ahead to move forward with that, so. I got a contract today with them, with HHPR, so, we're gonna try to bring that to the February 7th council meeting for first reading. So you'll see that February 7th for first reading for, it's $148,000 for their work to design and. Project management, put it out to bid and build a park. 148, but I don't know, you don't have to put that in there if you don't want. Like I said, but because it's gonna be, I don't have the exact number, it's 148,000 change. You'll see it at the council meeting. But Legacy Park Outdoor, we put out for 7 different contractors for bids. We gave them to the 30th to have them back, and if they don't bid, then we're gonna disqualify them. So we got 2 bids in right now. We're waiting for. We actually called another company today and they came out today. I'm shooting for, unless if they get us, if we get another bid this week, I could make the February 7th meeting, but we're looking more for the February 21st meeting, which works better for us, pushing that out a little bit for whether to do the project.
So just pouring the back.
Pouring the pad and doing the work, getting ready for the fitness, yeah. What else we got? Maple Street Park, we got a contract, Barry helped push that along, thank you, but we, they didn't add the contract, they didn't add all of the work, like the Musco lighting didn't add any of the trenching, the electrical work with it and all that, so what they were trying to do is get me to push it forward, get it approved by council, then do a change order later, and I'm not.
that's what they want to do.
That's what they want me to do, then they can name their price, so, that's the holdup, we're waiting on them, and they're waiting on a price with Canby Utility for the transformer upsize too, and stuff like that. That project, we need to be ready by July 1, so we're pushing them, if I can get that back before the 30th, I can get it to mine and get it on the February 7th meeting, but other than that, it's gonna be on the February 21st. So,
which is good.
Which is good, it's just, we gotta beat July 1. We're ahead of the game this year, we got everyone on board.
I just want to make sure it's this year,
Yeah.
not 2025.
Jerry's getting her done.
Yeah, and we're all on the same page now, I know you're worried about your vacation period, but we got it covered.
I like it.
We're gonna make it.
It's like an answer by the 22nd day.
That's, I'm trying to think, did we have any other, did I have anything else to say, parks, I don't think so, I think that's all I had, unless anyone had any questions for me, was that covered all the updates for you, didn't it, Jim?
Anybody have any questions or wanna beat Jerry up at all?
Have they scheduled anybody to actually do the work yet for Maple? I mean, do you have a date when?
Yeah.
Say they'll start?
Yeah, we're gonna get it through council, get it approved, and we're not turning any irrigation on this year, and they said they will start July 1.
July 1.
July 1, they'll have all the materials, everything ready to go, and, Ken Daniels is, getting the gate installed right now, so they can access off Noble Court to do the work, so we're not tearing it apart, but yeah, July 1. Good. Yeah, no, it's good news.
Thanks, Jerry.
You're welcome.
Any questions, more questions for Jerry? Okay.
Jerry, do you have any room left to sleep when considering your job?
No, good, they're getting good sleep, actually.
Good.
Things are going good,
Keep
yeah.
up the good work.
No, it's
2.5
all-
hours a night.
all of- we're gonna, no, everything's doing good, the crews, handling most of it, everything's running smooth, so. Good deal, and we got a bunch of people backing us with council now to get this stuff done, so it's gonna go good. I know we've had trouble in the past, but things are on track. Trust me. It's honest with me when it wasn't happening, you know that.
All right.
This is happening whether you like it or not.
Wow. I would have liked it last year. I'll like it this year. New business. Prioritize the CIP, next step in the projected timeline. So we kind of want to, we talked about it a little bit, but I want to put 2 or 3, we're looking at 2025. Obviously, we've got a lot of projects in the pipeline for this year,
Thank you.
and Jerry's all over them, and they'll be started and completed 2024, but we wanna look ahead, and we don't, we wanna look at 2025, so.
You guys want to start with transportation? Or just go ahead and park?
I'll just go right in the front.
Okay.
So, one thing that I'm pretty sure it was fairly unanimous, but I'd like to look at initiating a Wake Park project, kind of a master plan as to what Wake Park might look like in the future. Maybe we could hire a consultant, a landscape architect to come in and do some renderings of what Wake Park will be. Doesn't mean they're gonna start Wake Park in 2025, but they'll start the design work, maybe come up with some renderings or some ideas. It might be a public meeting of what would people like Wake Park to look like in the future. Something along those lines, so.
I really want to applaud that because we have a park that, Wake Park has been the
Yes.
center of Canby and sort of the basic playground.
Mhm.
And has served us for, I don't know how many years. But it's time for us to do some significant thinking about.
Longer than you and I.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, so anyways, I would encourage people to just maybe go down through here. I know that also dog park has been mentioned.
Yeah.
And when Scott Archer was here, Public Works was asked the job, given the task to maybe find or locate an area. I mean, obviously, these guys are the ones that see everything.
Can I add to that quick? That's,
Sure.
so the direction I received at that time was to hire a firm to do it, and Kara made a motion to let us do it internally. Why pay a company?
Why pay-
Am I saying this
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why pay a company when we have staff that knows where it goes?
Right,
Sorry,
right,
to interrupt you,
right.
Barry, but I want you to let you know, that's where it ended up. So
And,
maybe that's what you're saying. Yes.
and they found
Who knew they would?
they found a location, and I don't know if you can pull it up, on First and Wall.
The council brought up to Jim about the dog park, and, so I went and kind of found a location that I liked. Showed it to Barry, he liked it, so. We were just looking at this, and I don't know, I haven't talked to Ryan about this. But this is, if you look at this, this is Columbia Distributing over here, you know, where we're at, and then this is the green property we actually purchased with urban renewal funds.
Burned down a house.
And burnt, and fire burned down the house and a shed for us. But yeah, and so we ended up, we had the engineer, we're currently getting ready to, well, we're in design stage of Walnut Street, and we were thinking if this location looked, we could just throw it in with the project. When we go out. And
And the city owns the property.
we own both sides of that, so you can see the square footage of it, and I don't know if it. If it interests,
Cursor to that, and what's the limit, what's the size of the,
so this one here,
That's 1.74 acres,
are you talking about all of the, I mean,
full length,
it's the,
so we're.
the hash marks.
Ryan can't see it.
You can't say.
Oh, no, I can't.
Okay.
So it's where the lines are, Barbara, is the property we could build these in, you know, these two sides of the property, it's just excess land that we have. And I believe, I don't know, Ryan, was it you that said that this property might be decent criteria for the master plan? Don't look at the master plan, or was that Barry telling me that? I can't remember.
I don't think you talked to me about it.
Okay,
But this is near where a group has compiled a collection of parcels that they're eventually going to pursue a larger development with residential. So it seems like it would be cool synergy with that coming in the future.
and doing some stuff on the south side of the town too, instead of just everything on the north.
Yeah.
It's a location that it would be an easy project to do with Walnut Street, and we could get it done easy and fast, and, it's actually in the CIP.
Is it big enough?
I mean, I think everyone, when we were talking about dog parks, some people said, let's have more smaller ones. Then,
The siting criteria
I
for
forget what they said.
fenced dog park is a minimum of 1 acre.
Right.
So this is almost 2,
Okay.
1 3/4.
Two is more reasonable.
It fits that, and I think that, you know, yeah, I think for the purpose of an enclosed dog park, I think it's adequate.
and like Brian says, that's a big development going into there, that area, Jay,
Yeah.
all of that.
I mean, it is going to be an industrial collector road, so you will have a steady stream of, 18 wheelers coming through here. So that's a consideration, but I don't know how that fits into the rest of it.
So they're going through the middle of the dog park, that's not what you meant, let's say again.
Well, that road's gonna be the access road,
Yeah.
the highway.
It's the access road to-
And so would parking be street parking, or would we get some sort of dedicated parking?
Haven't got that far, but it would be we'd have on-site. I
Yeah,
can't talk, yes. Someone would be on-site parking with, and I believe that's all center turn lane with bike lanes, so no parking.
could, I mean,
On the
maybe
other side.
that's what I was thinking, is what about the
On-site
little
parking.
space down there? You
On
can
the
do a
other
little
side.
parking lot with a crosswalk, and then you get to your
Tunnel underneath.
tunnel underneath.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, we could get really creative with it because we're putting it in with a big project before, it wouldn't be, it'd be a lot cheaper. I don't know, there's. But I just wanted you guys to look at this, and
I
we
love
wanted, I know that council kept bringing it up, and I appreciate you guys looking at this, so Jim can report back what we're looking at.
Council brought it up, And we're discussing it,
But if
send
you,
it back to.
anyone that wants to, I don't know.
But it- priority wise,
Those of us who want to, go down and take a look at it.
Yeah,
I don't know the private area.
let me know, Barbara, I can show you, or you can.
Anybody else?
It's a nice
It's a
area.
nice area.
priority wise, it would fall below Wade Park. I mean, Wade Park is top priority
And
over this.
to give you an example of this, Arneson Park, is that horrible to be in?
No,
And it's just like this, kind of big semi road going through there, it's not horrible.
Well, it's a quiet, it's a respite from the stuff that else is going on. Another citing criteria is that it be within walking distance of a residential area, so that ties right in with what Ryan's saying. So, I mean, I think it meets some good stuff.
Okay. Well, you guys think about it and let's talk back, because when we get ready to build this, it'd be nice to maybe build a park with it.
Yes.
how much is what was on the CIP?
100,000 this year.
100 grand.
No, 900,000, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and we actually have, this year, we have 200,000. We have no money. Sure, but it is in the
Yeah,
CIP,
you do.
In 2023.
in the budget.
Yeah.
On the CIP though.
Is that what you?
No, I'm looking at what we actually have budgeted.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
well, we actually have money, yeah, but it is on the CIP because we kind of shifted stuff and what's changing so much, but all we gotta do is throw that money back in. When you guys update the CIP, I put it in the budget, we build it for.
I think that's what.
And we ought to save money by not hiring somebody to find that software.
There you go. I can't believe everyone likes it so far. I gotta sell Barbara.
Yeah.
That-
I'll take it off.
Barbara doesn't like it.
Yeah, thanks.
Projected this.
Design's going well. We're waiting on ODOT, but we're close to getting access permit. So once that's what we're waiting on, we get that, we put it out to bid. So, you might see construction here from
On which?
Walnut Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
A year from now?
starting construction.
Okay, any other ideas for 2025? So, we have Wade Park and the dock.
Last time you brought up a property that I had never heard of before.
Benefits?
No. It has a pretty name. Ivy Ridge? Maybe, yeah. Ivy
Oh,
Ridge. Ivy Ridge.
yeah, Ivy Ridge, that, yeah,
Desktop.
that's off, well, it's by Hope Village, behind Hope Village,
That new development.
Okay.
along the river.
Okay.
That's a whole lot too.
So do we have any- Is that on Rick's radar?
Yeah,
Which one?
Ivy Ridge,
Oh,
that was.
Yeah.
That is,
it's back and forth.
yeah,
It's not on the.
Well, I did. No.
it was. Heavy on the. On the list in past city administrators, or not city administrators.
Oh, city council.
Council shut it down.
Oh,
And it's a good, I mean, the property's good. Did you guys, has it been seeded, it's cleaned up? Did
It's what's tough about it is
They
we
do
get it
not.
cleaned up and get it nice, and then everyone goes and dumps their stuff on it, their rocks, their stuff, so we're constantly cleaning it up.
yeah.
And the neighbors dump their dirt on it, the neighbors throw their dog food over the fence, so.
yeah, one time we talked about
Makes me feel-
cleaning up
That's
and
the whole
developing and then holding off and then deciding whether or not we wanted to put. What we wanted to put in there. They were gonna put sidewalks in and.
We were looking at just like stuff, nothing fancy maybe.
Barry, I think that.
Could be a green area.
I think that it'd be smart for the Park and Rec Committee to at least look at that and see if there's room to add that into the budget, just simply because Hope Village, all the townhomes are now going in.
Right.
And that subdivision is filling up quickly too, so sooner or later, citizens that live up there are gonna say, do something with it.
Well, yeah, and it's nice for, you know, as our folks age, that they have a little place
Close
that they
to-
can go. Maybe take the grandkids up there, swing them on a swing, people need to stay active.
And it's also runs, right along the Emerald Necklace. so-
Very close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think we've been getting calls on it. And it's stuff like people, I wanna plant a tree out there, I wanna do this, you know, I wanna, you know, I've been moving a tree from house to house, and we're gonna live in Canby forever, and it's potted, and I wanna plant it out there, and I said, hold off. What
Yeah.
we're doing.
I think if you, minimum would be doing like you did with Dodds, you know, get a study done, get citizen input from the community. And find out what they want.
yeah,
That's
do a community meeting like we
Community
did
meeting
for Auburn.
and design, and then you can look at budgeting it following years.
Yeah, that seems like
Right.
something we could be doing this year.
Cause I think Jim brought that up.
So,
So I would prioritize, if I was gonna look at I would prioritize Wade, Ivy Ridge, Dog Park.
okay, so Dodds costs like 40 grand to do all that preliminary stuff, so you're saying come budget, we put. Whatever money in, 40 grand in, we do all that and then budget and build it next year, I like that.
I do too.
But it's responsive to the citizens.
It is, no, this is really nice, very. So, planning ahead, what to do it later. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Wait, though, similar,
Similar, yeah, because we wanna hire, you want a community meeting to find out what, you know, people envision.
You know,
Wade to look like.
yeah, I think with Wake Park too, once the master plan is done, then, you know, in the design, because the bathroom has to be replaced, right? And that's when we can approach Rotary to do maybe the bathroom project or something like that, but they want to see what it looks like. What is it we're spending the money on? But in Coeur d'Alene, in downtown Coeur d'Alene, they built two massive bathrooms, one out on the point and one in the city park. And that was all funded by Rotary.
Oh, let's see that old.
23 years or something, 20 years.
yeah.
I know the high school.
Yeah.
You mean the new bathroom?
Hey, so Jim, just to clarify on these two projects. We update the CIP. So I need to do some work on the CIP, bring it back, let you guys look at it.
Mhm.
And then we'll make a recommendation of that CIP and then budget for it at budget time. Okay, that's easy. I like it.
I might wanna, I wanna throw out we talked also about the pedal park down at the Honda. And, I mean, that may not be something for 2025, but should we just hang on to that?
Is that because of finance or because of our ability
I
to do
think-
it?
Well, it's not in the master plan either.
It's not in the master plan and it would be, yeah, it's not budget. But it's something that
It's not
would,
going anywhere.
no, it's something that would bring business into the city, that's.
I think there's verbiage or language in the master plan, though, that speaks to having that kind of an activity available for younger people. So I think we could work it so that it reflects positively the master plan.
And Jerry, just a question for you, where would the athletic fields fall into that?
That's what I was, like the Cogeo.
Yeah.
Into the master plan or into the,
CIP.
CIP. See,
I think that's more of a question for
It's
city
a-
staff to work through.
and I think that's what that work session, because that's such a, if it's in the master plan, like, that's what I was, one of the options, because there's so many options, if that's a priority to build that thing, which it is.
Yeah.
Is we have so much money in SDCs, right, and so much in the general fund. And so, I mean, honestly, it might fall into it, like. That might become a priority with SDC funds versus Wake Park. If we wanted that, I mean,
See, that was,
we might have to shift our projects.
that was something that, I mean, it wasn't in the master plan, they came to us and presented us with an opportunity. And you've got to be, when you're presented an opportunity, you've got to be able to adjust. And that's where we would need to adjust and put it into the CIP.
And up, you know, updating that, I know Jamie might have way more information on this. This is getting kind of out of my wheelhouse.
Right,
That whole thing's new to me.
Right.
Do you have any input on that?
I think that there's probably some more work to be done on just even like the city staff, like we have a city staff group that is working on CIP funding to identify exactly how that falls, how that gets included and move forward. And then, and some of that might come with when a work session happens or an executive session happens and start, we might be just a hair too early before the process starts, but we're really, really close.
Yeah.
And we both sit on that CIP funding group. And in fact, I sent an email earlier and trying to reschedule a meeting just so that we're all working together. So we're all aware of the projects. That's part of the reason that I wanted to come tonight, just to hear, you know, the CIP funding and prioritization that you all are talking about, just because it's something that we are actively working on and actively meeting on.
Do you see any inconsistencies like?
How do you mean?
Well, say again what you just said, I mean,
Well, so as far as inconsistencies, do you mean between this and the work that we're doing?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. These efforts inform the group, the meeting. In October, we had a work session at the city council where the finance director came and talked about the forecasting. And that's where the delicate balance of being a finance director, you know, we don't have that, but that's where I think we're gonna need to lean on the finance director, but then also include the conversations from here, where we're hearing, these are the priority projects. And, you know, if it's ball fields above all else, then that's something that's really important to hear. Or if it's, you know, Wake Park and Community Park at the same time, whatever it might, I mean, I'm just generalizing, but.
I think you hit it right on the head. We need to have that meeting internally so we can answer that question, because I don't really know.
Well, I just think it's important for this group, if you still feel that the athletic fields are priority, then we just need to continue to let city staff.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because I know city staff's getting together to talk about different types of funding and stuff, and CoGeo is getting together and doing renderings.
Yep.
And everything else at this point, you know, so.
Yep. Keep it going, because.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you have anything to add on that? No, okay.
So do we need a motion or anything?
Am I including that, the athletic field, and it's.
Well, that's, no, I would, we're coming down, I mean, not in this portion of the discussion, well, or do we want that included in our prioritization?
If you don't include it in your prioritization, then the city council's gonna go to that and say it's not included in their prioritization.
I would,
We don't have money,
No,
but
that's
we
what
can
the-
show support for it, is that what you're saying? So
Exactly.
that's still an important.
Yeah.
I would,
Priority.
Like, yeah, because that's what I work off of, you know?
so I guess.
You're right, it's just out there, we don't really know, so.
I guess if we were to look at so now we have 4. We have the CoGeo project, we have Way Park, we have Ivy Ridge, and we have the dog park. So if we were to prioritize those, do we need to go through and, canvass the group and talk about how we would place them? Right.
I'm just curious, and maybe you have a update, but it seemed like the last time CoGeo met, I don't know if it was after the chamber, but they basically were on like a 6-month deal of we either have to know or we're out of here.
Yeah, Ryan,
So I
yeah,
don't even know, so I'm just trying to figure it out, is that gonna be, we gonna be past that deadline when this money comes up, or where are we at with that?
you know, CoGeo is very happy with what city staff and what how the city is moving forward with this. That all city staff met with CoGeo and Barry and myself and talked about the project. And the possibilities of what they could do versus what we could do, but Patrick also left it with Canby's way ahead of the other cities that have been talking to us at this point. Canby's still their number one priority.
So there must be a site that they quasi have a.
Well, he's doing a rendering.
Okay.
Yeah. But like anything, we can't share that because it falls within executive session. So
Do you want me to come up with a motion and then I can just
Yeah. We.
Get to it.
Okay, I move that for the 24-25 fiscal year CIP priorities. Number one, continued support of the athletic fields. Number two, initiate a Wake Park master plan. Number three, develop a design and community meeting for Ivy Ridge. And four, support a dog park on the 1.74 acres in the industrial park adjacent to Columbia District.
Good work.
I second.
Third.
Quick question before, so we said it's kind of generic with the athletic fields. So for whatever reason, Kajia says like, we're not gonna do it, but we still have this athletic fields. Is this something we can turn and say, let's go back and try to maybe refocus on that acronym project?
Yeah.
Good call.
yeah. And the nice thing about this is what planning is working on right now. That meeting's not tonight, is it, Jamie, the third summit?
No, that's chronic.
Tomorrow night. But I encourage all of you to go to one of those summits because that's where we have input. In the last summit meeting we had, we actually identified the Ackerman complex as a future community center, athletic fields or whatever. Within, it's more than just the growth boundaries, it's within the city as well and what's it gonna look like. But at least our group identified Ackerman and the fields out there as a potential for the future.
Was that the one that was overflow?
Yep.
parking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're having just a repeat, just for everybody else, if you haven't heard, having a repeat of that same meeting, the same mapping exercise to give people an opportunity who either came and then decided to leave or weren't able to make it. And that's gonna be held tomorrow night, 6 to 8 PM, Baker Prairie Middle School. And
Cafeteria.
in the cafeteria, yes.
How much more time do you think's going on before we have more solid information about the athletic fields?
I don't know, not that long, but I know Eileen's been in contact with Patrick. And the last information that I think got back was they're waiting for renderings from Patrick.
They need the renderings before they can make an offer, I mean, is that what's?
Yeah, see, like anything, you gotta be able to look at it, but then you have to identify the mechanisms for funding. That's where city staff gives alternatives, and then we'll hold an executive session and talk about it with council.
I think we need another slot in our CIP, would you,
Probably,
you know what I mean, like a
Yeah.
different, like, what we call that recreation,
I would call
like,
it.
or. In our, I don't know, just, it doesn't really fall in parks,
I
right?
call it recreation complex. I just put it in
Appropriation what?
complex.
Oh,
Yeah, there's money and it's in there, but would it stay under parks?
Why not?
I'm just asking.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
hey, then we're good, we can just add it to.
Okay, so
And there's money to spend on that.
based on the motion that was made. we Need to call for discussion. Is there any discussion in regards to the motion that Lisa laid forth? No, okay, so can we get a vote? Does everybody agree, Ryan? Jim? Dave? Barry, yes.
Aye.
Okay,
Not big.
so we're gonna. We have 7-0. Approve of the motion. Do we want to read the motion again? Do we need to read it again? You're good. Okay. Brian Potter, do you have anything to share with us? This is your spot.
Well, so Barry had asked me to look at some of the grant programs that the pedal park vendor had mentioned. So I did a preliminary look at through those. I personally think most of them are dead ends. I don't see how they would apply to a pedal park. You know, vendors often do that. They list a bunch of things that doesn't really mean that you would actually qualify for them. That said, there is one that I want to dig into further, and so I'm going to research that more. It's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It's another pot of federal money for a variety of things that's administered state by state. So I'm going to dig into that more. The other ones, there was one that is really only for trails. There's CDBG grants, that's Community Development Block Grant. I've actually worked on CDBG grants before. They're really complicated. It's federal money. There's a lot of other obligations that the city has to make before you can even apply for that type of money. That's a whole conversation for another day. Ford Family Foundation was another one they mentioned. That's a really cool program. I would love for us to apply for that another time, but it's for programs and educational things. It's not really for capital improvements. But then that fourth one is the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and they have a specific programs called State and Local Assistance Program, and so I am gonna look more into that. But I said this in my email to Barry. What concerns me about the pedal park, and I think Jamie and Jerry and Jim kind of touched on this for funding in general, is if it didn't really come straight out of the public engagement and then into our parks master plan, and then if council hasn't like blessed a specific site and funded it, and most of these programs, you're not going to be super competitive because you're competing against other communities that have already demonstrated this long commitment to a very specific project. And so this kind of had me thinking that, you know, as we're kind of looking to update our CIP, I think we should start looking at potential grant funding for the things that we already have in there that you've kind of reaffirmed tonight. Maybe a good example of that would be Waite Park. A lot of these grant programs are more focused on disadvantaged communities, parks for low-income communities, programs that support and uplift those communities. And Waite Park is example of, yeah, it's a park, but it's also used for all these activities that are related to some of those populations. And so some of these projects that are they're coming straight from a vendor where the vendor wants to work with us, but it's not coming straight from our master plan. I think it's a little heavier of a lift. I hope that makes sense. But I do think there's some opportunities, and this one in particular, Barry, I will continue to look into.
Okay, great. And you mentioned one of those grants that were mentioned, talked about trails. Would any of that, help the Emerald Necklace or the logging trail or
Possibly, yeah. That one's called the Recreational Trails Program. It's kind of like the other ones. It's federal money, but Oregon kind of administers it on a slightly more local level. And they have 3 categories for eligible projects. Motorized, which is like snowmobile trails and stuff like that. Non-motorized, which is hiker, biker, and equestrian trails. And then actually water trails. And so, yeah, there might be, you're right. I think there might be opportunities there too. They don't really fund parks or skate parks or things like that, but if it was a genuine trail project, that could be a cool opportunity.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Mhm.
And I said if you needed me to help you with that grant, I'm not a grant writer, but
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I would love to apply for lots of grants. It's just that the trouble is always finding one you actually, the project that you have in mind qualifies for what the criteria they have for that grant program is. So I can always use more help finding ones where we would comply. But what's cool about, so the last couple of years, a lot of people have mentioned a lot of grant programs. A lot of these have to do with programming. I think we've got in our master plan that we're working towards having a true recreation department where we have more programs in our parks. And I think there's tons of opportunity for helping fund stuff like that. So I think we're building a list for when we get to that point, then we can start applying for a lot of these grants.
I want to offer a language, comment about language. The language of called Wait Park. Wait is not exactly an encouraging, uniting terms. Wait Park is our central park, and I think we need to start making it look like and perform like a central park as a community center, which it is. But Wake Park is the way it's currently described. I think we may want to begin to update the language we use to describe it.
are you saying that you're gonna put in the park's name change? Follow our policy and put in an application?
That might be an alternative, yeah. Well, because we really want it to be a central park. I mean, isn't that the point? It's in the center.
It's way.
It's what you're trying to.
But it's Wake Park for being named it for a reason.
Right.
After Aaron Wade,
Okay.
who was the first, one of the first state Supreme Court judges, I think, from
The
from
Supreme Court judge named it Wait.
his last name was Wade, Aaron Wade.
Oh,
It's a historical.
okay, take back my comment.
Okay.
It's Wait Central Park.
All right, thanks, Ryan, for your update. And Jenny, I think you've already talked about the athletic complex. Do you have anything else you want to?
But just a brief update from the council. Well, first of all, happy New Year. This is our first meeting of the year. It seems like it should be well past January. Anyway, Scott Zaski, of course, was unanimous vote for council.
Good.
I gave a project list updated at the first council meeting, not the one this last week. So I gave them a project update. We're gonna be holding our council retreat on the 16th, I believe is the date for that, of February. And then the vacancy, I think that's being advertised, correct?
It's advertised. The night Scott was chosen, I told Maya to put that out, and so we've had it advertised. It's on the city website for Scott's position. It's been out there for 2 weeks. It ends on the 26th of January, so Friday. Applications are due.
So I'll call them and make sure if mine's still on file, I don't need to put it in. That's correct, so I'll just verify
Yeah,
that.
check.
Right.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And just thank all you guys for spending your time, on this committee. You guys are getting a lot of stuff done. Good job.
I was just reflecting on the first meeting that we had. I remember Terry and I joined the same time, and by comparison to that beginning in a little room with a little bit of conversation, what we've evolved to is nothing short of spectacular. This committee is really a live wire. Good for us. And our leadership. Yes.
Just. Thank you.
Wow, wow. I never thought of that. Jim one too.
Jim's there.
Cause I'm slow. He gets the phone. But you're right, Barbara. It doesn't seem like it. You look back what the projects we've got done, I mean, the good things, it's been
Well,
pretty
just
fun.
quality of conversation and the way that we can go back and forth and agree and disagree and reach good decisions.
You're working on a budget, a CIP now, that is crazy. It is, you know, and happy.
It's government, I'm still not used to government. Most of it's slow.
Again, you know, I need to add in there too, compliments to the city department heads and city staff and stuff
Yes,
like that.
indeed, without you.
Everybody's moving along, getting projects done, so. Makes it real easy as a city councilor to just let them do their job.
All right,
Richard?
that's it. Adjourn.
Thanks, Ryan.
Next meeting would be, well, I'm gonna get there, but I was. Should I, yeah, our next meeting would be
Pretty soon. we
Let's
can
go
go
to- February the 20th. 6:30 right here. And now, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So
Barbara, second,
Second.
Kara. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Ah,
Let's adjourn.
do it.
See you, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
Barry, if I